Section 4 Overview. What is a SAT? How to configure a SAT, and the data import procedure. Section 4A. Basic SAT. At this time, we need a more effective method of populating our repository with data. Fortunately, the Mood Business Architect software includes a feature called Synchronization Activation Technology, or SAT for short. This provides functionality for importing and exporting data. When data is presented in a straightforward manner, then data can be imported using a basic SAT, which we will cover here. Other techniques for importing more complex datasets, including the denormalized SAT, which allows you to import non-continuous ranges of data, will be addressed at a later point. Section 4B. Preparing themes for SAT. The first set of data we will import relates to the locations of the classrooms involved in our case study. Before we can import the information, however, we need to set up the necessary themes and field types, as we have covered previously. To do so, we need to choose Manage Themes, which can be found under the Manage Repository section under the File tab. Then we need to choose New Theme and give it an appropriate title of Location. And then similarly, for the new type option, calling it Location also. At this time, you may also want to change the appearance of the themes and elements we have created so far, so that it is more apparent as to which they relate to. To do this, highlight the item you wish to change the appearance of, and then click on Appearance on the right-hand side of the pop-up, followed by Import. A number of symbols will be presented and can be selected. For instance, for the location theme, a globe would be suitable. Having chosen, press OK. Having provided a suitable visual for the location theme and type, you may also wish to do similar for the previously created college role and subject area themes. In order to complete the setup of the location type, ready for an import, we now need to add the necessary fields to the type. The fields in question are Seats, Ground Floor, Fully Media Enabled, and Room Type. These can either be created and then added to an element as per section 3, or they can be created and added directly to the locations type as follows. Ensuring that the location type is highlighted, the user should select the definition option on the right-hand side of the tab. This will be blank to begin with. The fields can then be added using the Fields option located under Add at the bottom of the pop-up. Having now created all the necessary fields, we are in a position to click OK when the theme type is correctly set up. The last step is to create a holding element under Location. This can be achieved by right-clicking on the location and creating a new element called Hash Locations. Section 4C. SAT Configuration. To configure the SAT, we must first navigate to the relevant location, which is to be found under Libraries on the left-hand side of the screen, and then by clicking Synchronize. On the ribbon under the Home tab, we need to choose the SAT that we wish to use. To do this, click on Insert and select Microsoft Excel Import, giving the import the name Location Import. In order to open the newly created Location Import, either double-click on it or right-click and select Edit. The panel that will present will have the source on the left and the target on the right. To identify the source, click on the Add Data from Excel. Use the Windows Browse functionality and select the Excel workbook provided called Locations Import. Having done so, a pop-up will appear to guide you through the import process. It should be noted that the source data in the Excel file must include one or more fields that form a unique identifier. For instance, if we were importing a tutors file and we were to use the tutor name as a unique identifier, each name within our file would need to be distinct. Should our source data include 2 or more rows with the same name, we would need to use another field, such as staff number, to force uniqueness. Alternatively, we might want to use multiple fields such as name and subject taught to form this unique key. Step 1. The first option determines the type of import we wish to use, dependent on the data's layout. In this instance, the simple option is already highlighted, so we can select Next. Step 2. The next step is to choose the data header range that we are going to choose. This is of particular importance should we only wish to use a subset or if there are multiple tabs. In this instance, there is only one tab, and so we are going to use the highlighted cells, A1 to E1. This is achieved by clicking A1 and dragging across to E1 without releasing the left cursor key. Then click Next. Step 3. The last step is to identify what field or fields form the unique identifier, and also what type of data is being imported, e.g. whole number, string, etc. In this instance, the unique ID can be left as it is, i.e. the room names, as they are all unique. However, we need to change the data type for ground floor and fully media enabled. Mood makes an informed decision as to the type it believes you will need, i.e. it believes a true-false type is suitable for these two fields. However, we have chosen to create them as pick lists, the reason being in case we wanted to add further options at a later point, such as part enabled. To change the data type, click on the relevant drop-downs, e.g. alongside ground floor, and choose string for both. To ensure that the data type is held during future imports, make sure to tick the Enforce data type. Click Finish to complete the source process setup. Having set up where the information is coming from, we now need to establish where it is going, i.e. the target. Under the target header, scroll down until you locate the location type, then drag and drop location in the target section. At this point, you will be asked where you would like the imported information to reside. Choose the Hash Locations option that you created recently. This will ensure that any imported data records will be created as children of the location element. At this point, the information source and targets have been configured, and we now need to define how the source data will map to the fields on the records created. For instance, we want to use the value in the room name column of our Excel file as the location name in the element we create. In order to create this mapping, click and hold room name and drag across to the related target item, location name. Repeat this process to map the remaining source data fields for seats, ground floor, fully media enabled, and room typed with their respective fields on the target record. You may notice that when you drag across, only some of the target items are available to connect to. The Mood platform does this to ensure only valid connections can be made. For instance, you cannot connect ground floor to seats, as the seats field is a numeric data type, and we cannot import alphanumeric data into this field. Having completed linking the source to the target, you can now press Execute, which is found at the top of the view under the Home tab, and the Synchronizer section of the ribbon. Upon importing, you will notice that the Themes tab refreshes and the relevant locations will have been created. Section 4D. SAT configuration, including relationships. Using the same method as previously, we will now look to populate the tutor theme using the Tutors Import spreadsheet. On a previous exercise, we have already created all the necessary fields for the tutor import, and so can proceed immediately to the SAT configuration. Using the procedure we previously followed, we need to ensure the source is set up correctly, with the two areas of note being to set evening working as a string field, and also to ensure you tick the enforce data type. One notable exception for this import, as opposed to the previous one, is that we also wish to identify and populate the tutor-subject relationship. In order to do this, we need to change the way we connect from the source to the target. If you select Connect under the source header, you will see that Field Copy is highlighted, as this is the link method we've been using thus far. We now need to change the method to a relationship lookup, which we do so by clicking on it. Previously, all the data that we have wanted to populate has related to the tutor's theme type. However, we now need to relate also to the subject theme type. To do this, click on Add and drag the subject area from the target selection area into the target area, ensuring you choose the correct hash subject when prompted. Upon doing so, you may now notice that there is an arrow alongside the tutor subject option. You should then click on the arrow. To complete the relationship connection, link subject from the source section to subject in subjects in the target section. At this point, the second panel in the target area will disappear as it has been successfully related. You should then select Execute and save any changes. This time, the themes will refresh and you will see that both the tutor and subject themes have been updated. Section 4 Exercise 4.1. Create all the necessary fields for the subject theme, as follows. (4.2) Set up a subject import SAT. Points to note are that the 4 pick list items need to have their data type set up and the enforced data type tick box checked. As more than one tutor deliver the same subject, this means the subject alone is not unique, and therefore the multiple columns choice for the primary key options must be checked, and both the subject and tutor tick boxes should be checked. 4.3. Import the data. You should now have your subject theme populated with information which can be used to produce useful results and learnings.